highly anticipated Indian Wells third-round match between Coco Gauff and Alexandra Eala ended in disappointing, really heartbreaking fashion as Coco retired down 2-6 Love 2 due to a left arm injury. Gauff won their previous match a couple of weeks ago in the Dubai quarterfinals, only dropping 2 games. It was 6-Love, 6-2. This match, of course, was very different. Coco didn't hold serve one time in the match. She had 4 game points at 2-1, and she had a 40-love lead at 2-3, but couldn't get over the finish line due to double faults or just errant forehands. Gauff, who finished the match with 7 double faults, noticeably went for a lot more on her second serve in this match, hitting it with an average speed of 98 miles per hour at one point.
As the match reached its premature conclusion, Coco Gauff made her way to the net to formally concede the contest, where she shared a brief and quiet exchange with Eala. Although the content of their conversation was inaudible to everyone inside the stadium, Gauff later revealed to the world precisely what was communicated during that heartfelt moment at the net. And that brief interaction speaks more profoundly about the character of these two athletes than any final score possibly could. If you are already invested in this story, you are exactly where you need to be. Smash that like button right now and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a breakdown like this one. Let's get into it. Now that the details of what Eala said to Gauff, coupled with Gauff's subsequent public statements about her, are known, does this change your perception of their evolving rivalry? Share your perspective in the comments right now. But first, let's dive deep into the full story because what these two athletes said about each other is nothing short of remarkable.
That'll probably do it, yeah. Well, that stinks. 2 of the game's brightest stars. You hear Coco Gauff apologizing. There's no need for that.
My arm is like going like this the whole time, so I'm sorry.
An apologetic Coco Gauff. That just speaks to her class. She is a one of one.
When Coco Gauff took her seat for the post-match press conference at Indian Wells, a journalist posed the very question that everyone, who had been watching, was eager to have answered. What did Eala actually say to her at the net after the retirement? There was clearly a profound moment between them. The expressions on both players' faces indicated that they acutely felt the significance of how the match had concluded so abruptly. Gauff appeared filled with regret, while Eala's expression was one of genuine concern. They remained there for several moments, speaking quietly before ultimately going their separate ways. Gauff's answer was quite simple. She shared that Eala expressed her sincere hopes for a speedy recovery. It was a sentiment of that nature, concise, authentic, and deeply human. No drama, no performance for the cameras. Just one competitor checking on the well-being of another in a moment that transcended rankings and trophies. And that answer detailing that incredibly brief and private exchange at the net in some way reveals more about the character of Eala than any match statistic ever could. Because it is relatively easy to be gracious when you are on the losing side. It is an entirely different matter and a true test of character to exhibit genuine kindness when you are the one who has won. This is particularly true when you have spent the last 2 weeks anticipating an opportunity for redemption against the same person who recently handed you a 6-0 defeat in a prior contest. But to fully grasp the situation, let's take a step back and assemble the complete picture, because there are numerous important elements at play here, and all of them are worthy of being properly unpacked and examined. A mere fortnight before the tournament at Indian Wells, these very same 2 competitors clashed at the Dubai Tennis Championships. On that day, Gauff defeated Eala 6-Love, 6-2. That particular scoreline does not represent a competitive match. It signifies a comprehensive shutout. That is the kind of lopsided result that inevitably gets widely circulated on social media, accompanied by comments speculating about the substantial gap that still exists between Eala and the world's top-tier players. That is the kind of lopsided result that inevitably gets circulated on social media, accompanied by comments speculating about the gap that still exists between Eala and the world's absolute elite. And in fairness, those comments were not entirely without merit in that specific context. Gauff was without question the superior player that day. Her performance was utterly dominant. She expertly controlled every single aspect of the match, and Eala was simply unable to find a foothold. So when the draw at Indian Wells set them up for a rematch, the vast majority of people anticipated a similar outcome. The same players. The expectation was for the same result. That is typically how these scenarios unfold when the gap in quality appears that significant. But Eala had entirely different intentions. She returned to Indian Wells with a completely revised approach to her game. In her own interview after the match, she spoke about absorbing the lessons from her defeat in Dubai and executing her strategy differently this time around. This included being markedly more aggressive in her shot-making and maintaining a much sharper, more sustained focus from point to point. She emphasized playing with significantly more intensity in her leg, drive her overall movement, and in the way she dictated the tempo of the rallies. The results of this new approach were evident immediately. From the very first set, it appeared as though Gauff was facing a completely different opponent. The statistics tell the story with absolute clarity. Eala landed 68% of her first serves. Against the world number 4, a two-time Grand Slam champion, she manufactured 6 breakpoint opportunities and managed to convert an incredible 5 of them. Those are not the statistics of a lucky player. Against the world number 4, a two-time Grand Slam champion, she manufactured 6 breakpoint opportunities and converted an incredible 5 of them. Those are not the statistics of a lucky player. Those are the figures produced by a player who arrived with a meticulously crafted game plan, executed it to near perfection, and made her world-class opponent feel uncomfortable from the very first game. She called for the trainer during the match and received medical attention on her left shoulder and arm. Her first serve percentage subsequently dropped to a low of 44%. The struggles were further highlighted by the fact that she committed an uncharacteristic 7 double faults in the opening set alone. By the time the second set was underway and she had lost her serve in the second game, the decision for her to retire was no longer a matter of surprise. At that point, the only remaining question was about the timing of the withdrawal, not whether it would happen. However, the most crucial statement from Gauff's press conference is the one that received considerably less attention than it deserved. She conveyed that she felt extremely bad about having to pull out of the match. She articulated, "You never want to retire from a match." Then she made a very specific and telling addition to her statement. She explained that she felt even worse about the situation precisely because of how exceptionally well Eala was playing. She wanted to make absolutely certain she did not diminish the quality of Eala's performance. Let that statement sink in for a moment. The player who was forced to retire from a match, who was experiencing physical pain and dealing with an injury that made it impossible to continue effectively, her very first concern when addressing the media was to make absolutely certain that the credit and recognition went directly to her opponent. That is a truly remarkable thing to articulate, and it carries significant meaning coming from a player of Gauff's stature, especially because she was under no obligation to say it. That is a truly remarkable thing to say. And it carries enormous weight coming from a player of Gauff's stature, especially because she was under absolutely no obligation to say it, and simply moved forward. On the contrary, she made it a deliberate point to inform the world that Eala was delivering exceptional tennis and absolutely deserved complete recognition for her masterful performance. She also offered a comment that unequivocally revealed the profound depth of respect she holds for Eala as a formidable competitor. She also offered a comment that unequivocally revealed the depth of respect she holds for Eala as a competitor. She stated that she would have much rather completed the match and accepted a 6-0 loss than retire prematurely. Pause and consider the full implication of that statement. The world's number 4 player, a decorated Grand Slam champion, would have willingly endured a comprehensive defeat on Stadium 1 at Indian Wells, rather than walk off and leave the contest unfinished. Furthermore, the fact that she framed this sentiment in the context of not wanting to devalue Eala's commanding performance makes her statement even more profound and significant. Then, almost as a casual aside, she added a powerful endorsement stating, "I think she's going to have a great tournament." Coming from an athlete of Coco Gauff's stature, that is anything but an insignificant throwaway remark. That is a well-informed prediction from a person who just spent a significant portion of an hour on the very same court as Eala and witnessed firsthand the incredible capabilities she possesses when all aspects of her game are perfectly synchronized. When the 4th-ranked player in the world declares that she believes you're poised for a fantastic tournament run, the entire global tennis community pays very close attention. Now, with that established, let's examine the broader picture of this emerging rivalry and understand why it has rapidly become one of the most compelling storylines on the women's tour at this moment. The head-to-head record is now perfectly squared at 1 victory each. Before we break down where this rivalry goes from here, I want to hear your take. Drop it in the comments right now. Who wins when Eala and Gauff meet next? And does this match change the way you see either player? Let's see what this community thinks. 2 matches have produced 2 entirely different outcomes. In their Dubai encounter, Gauff was demonstrably the superior player from the very beginning to the end. Two matches have produced two entirely different outcomes. In Dubai, Gauff was demonstrably the superior player, from the very first point to the last. In contrast, here at Indian Wells before the unfortunate retirement, Eala was exhibiting such overwhelming dominance that the match appeared destined for an even more unbalanced scoreline than their Dubai meeting, only with the roles completely reversed. That kind of dramatic fluctuation indicates that neither of these athletes has fully deciphered the other's strategy just yet, which means every future encounter between them promises to be genuinely unpredictable, and that is precisely the kind of electrifying rivalry that women's tennis desperately needs right now. Instead, we are witnessing the emergence of a rising challenger who can step onto the court a mere 2 weeks after a crushing defeat and proceed to deliver one of the most authoritative and dominant performances of this entire season. Instead, we are witnessing the emergence of a rising challenger who can step onto the court a mere 2 weeks after a crushing defeat and deliver one of the most authoritative performances of the entire season. Moreover, both players possess the engaging personalities and the formidable skills required to ensure this rivalry has lasting power. Gauff, for her part, has been unfailingly generous in her public commentary regarding Eala. Reflecting on Dubai after securing a decisive win, she took the time to specifically praise Eala for attracting new and passionate fans to the sport. She spoke about how the fervent Filipino supporters had managed to transform the Dubai venue into an environment that felt like a home crowd, calling the entire experience fantastic for the sport of tennis. She openly stated that she understands why people are so eager to support Eala, admitting that she also roots for her, except of course when they are competing against each other. That level of public generosity from a well-established star toward a rising competitor is a quality that is not always present in the high-stakes world of professional sports. Some players, upon seeing a rival gaining ground, might become guarded, defensive, or even dismissive about it. Gauff has taken the absolute opposite approach. She has actively utilized her own influential platform to amplify and celebrate Eala's growing impact on the game. And considering that Gauff commands a massive global following and holds a major voice in tennis conversations around the world, that endorsement carries genuine, tangible value in shaping how Eala is perceived by fans who may not have been following her career closely until now. From Eala's side, the respect shown is equally authentic. In her own press conference following the Indian Wells match, she referred to Gauff as a truly great player who will always present a difficult challenge. She discussed the importance of not being able to dictate how well an opponent performs and instead maintaining focus exclusively on the elements she herself could manage. She pointedly did not celebrate the retirement that secured her victory. She did not seize upon the moment as an opportunity to manufacture a larger narrative out of the win than the situation warranted. She properly acknowledged the unusual circumstances, expressed sincere concern for Gauff's physical condition, and centered her own exceptional performance as the main takeaway from the match. And what a phenomenal performance it was regardless of the injury. You simply do not win a set 6-2 and break a world-class opponent's serve 5 separate times by accident. You do not successfully maintain a 68% first serve percentage against a top 5 player by simply getting lucky. The foundation of that victory was undeniably real. The on-court execution was impeccably real. And Gauff made certain to state as much publicly, which effectively closes the book on any storyline attempting to diminish what Eala accomplished on that court. The next hurdle is the round of 16 match against Linda Noskova. Noskova is an incredibly powerful opponent who strikes the ball with immense velocity and possesses more than enough experience at this elite level to be a genuinely hazardous competitor. She is certainly not going to make things simple, but Eala heads into that match with an invaluable asset that is exceedingly difficult to fabricate. She is riding a wave of momentum that is fueled by genuine self-belief, not just a series of favorable results. It is the unique kind of confidence that can only be earned by stepping onto the grandest court at one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world, and so thoroughly outplaying a Grand Slam champion that your opponent feels compelled to champion your performance in her own press conference. It is the unique kind of confidence that can only be earned by stepping onto the grandest stage at one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world, and so thoroughly outplaying a Grand Slam champion that your opponent feels compelled to defend your performance in her own press conference. That is the exact position Alexandra Eala occupies at this very moment. At just 20 years old, ranked 31st in the world and continuing to climb, She is into the round of 16 at Indian Wells for the first time in her career, with Coco Gauff broadcasting to the entire world that this tournament is about to get far more interesting. It consisted of wishes like "get well soon" and other similar sentiments. There was nothing overly dramatic, nothing calculated for the attention of the cameras. It was a poignant display featuring two exceptional athletes sharing a profound moment of mutual respect that neither competitor had wished would conclude under such unfortunate circumstances. This was a simple yet powerful demonstration of outstanding sportsmanship. And that brief, heartfelt exchange at the net encapsulates the entire narrative, revealing the true character of Alexandra Eala when the cameras and headlines are focused elsewhere. It also provides a clear window into the integrity of Coco Gauff, a player who demonstrates immense class long after the final point has been decided and there is nothing left to prove on the court. Furthermore, this interaction strongly suggests that their burgeoning rivalry, regardless of how it develops over the coming years, will be an absolutely essential storyline to follow. The on-court action is already spectacular, but the incredible individuals competing make it even more compelling. In a revealing press conference, Coco Gauff went beyond simply sharing what Eala had said to her at the net. She offered a comprehensive perspective to the global audience, detailing precisely her view of this rivalry and her predictions for where it is headed. And, frankly, her assessment is difficult to dispute. For those who want to witness every chapter of this captivating saga unfold, stay tuned, because this story is truly just getting started. If this breakdown fired you up for what comes next in this rivalry, do not keep it to yourself. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you are always first when we drop the next chapter. Eala versus Gauff is just getting started, and we will be here for every single point of it. See you in the next one.